Hello, everyone. Welcome again to Dr. Jaspersoft webinar. This is the May edition 2022. My name is Kamal Kumlin. I have my colleague Badr Dreyfi with me, who's going to do the technical presentation. And the topic today is just a new feature in JasperReports Server 8, which is a better way to, we're going to show a better way to customize and optimize JavaScript files in the application for any customization needs that you might have. So let's go to the next slide, please. So just briefly before we start, our next session for June, on June 9th, is going to be a single sign-on with Okta and JasperReports Server. So we hope to see you guys there. And as usual, second Thursday of every month at 9 a.m. Pacific or 6 p.m. Central European summertime at the moment. So that's it for me. Badr, take it away. Thank you.
Thank you for the introduction, Kamal, my Dr. Jaspersoft co-hosts, and thank you guys for joining us today. We're going to be talking with a really interesting feature with JasperReports Server 8 for anything related to user interface, specifically JavaScript changes and customizations. So please don't forget to put all of your questions on the chat box there in the live, the YouTube live. We're going to be monitoring that chat box and we're going to try to answer all of your questions in the meantime. Okay, so in the agenda for today, we're going to talk about Webpack overview. This is our new tools that will help us build and generate production-ready JS files. We're going to talk about the basic changes and the advanced changes. So we're going to talk a little bit about the important ones that most of our customers are actually going to be going to affect most of our customers, and then we're going to drive more into the advanced things. So we're going to talk about everything JavaScript related in your JasperReports Server 8, and also how to handle and manage customization and upgrading your JavaScript, your own JavaScript features. And then we're going to talk about how to auto deploy and live deploy your JavaScript changes. This is most for web developers that they want to, if you want to rebuild the Jasper Server UI, they can do so using Webpack with live reload, which is going to help them to be more agile and gain some time. And this is done using the Webpack Dev Server integration with JasperReports Server. And at the end, we're going to talk about some troubleshooting insights and also some known issues we have so far and trying to fix them at the moment. So a little brief about Webpack. It's a free and open source build tool for JavaScript. It's mature, modern, widely popular, very you can find very big community. You can find anything related to Webpack by searching online. It's easier to understand, especially for front-end developers, and it's more standardized way now than our own legacy system, which contains of some in-house scripts to build the JavaScript files. Now we're building them in a more standardized way using Webpack and making it more front-end developers friendly. And also, last but not least, it comes with a massive front-end performance improvement, and we're going to see that together during this presentation. Okay, so the basic changes. We'll talk about the changes for your JavaScript work in your JRS, like JasperReports Server. So first thing you're going to see, and first thing you need to know, that JasperReports Server starting 8 the user interface comes as a separate project. So everything in front end is actually a separate project called Jasper Server UI. And when I'm saying that is when you go to eDelivery and download the source files of JasperReports Server, or you are a community, your community users, when you're going to download JasperReports Server from the community website, you're going to get the source like this. And let's say this is the 8.source. You're going to go to JasperReports Server 8.source, and you're already familiar with the Jasper Server. If you're a professional, you're already familiar with the Jasper Server Pro, which contains all our source code. And here we have now Jasper Server UI. So this is the folder that contains everything related to the UI, in all the JavaScript files, and also it includes the themes and the bundles if you want to customize those inside the Jasper UI. And it is a completely separate project that you can use and build and customize and connect to a remote instance of JasperReports Server to do some testing, and we're going to see all this in action. So I'm going to go back here. So only one folder that contains one JavaScript version ready to use for production, which is the script folder in the deployed Jasper Server Pro. So this is the changes from the source side, changes from the actual WAR application. I'm gonna walk you through that, going to the Jasper Pro. So not here. Where is my Jasper server? Here we go. So when you install JasperReports Server, let's say I'm having some, this is my Tomcat version, okay? And inside the web apps in Tomcat, you have your Jasper Server Pro. This is H. I'm deploying it with -8. Inside here, you're gonna see only scripts folder. So there is no optimized script folder. Now we have only one script folder that contains the production ready GS files and also the source files. So there is no optimized version anymore. Everything is just in one place where you can use both the source and the production ready files, which means no need to optimize JavaScript files anymore. So the option _opt equal false is not supported anymore. So the new build that we're going to see will take care of producing those production ready JS files. No need to switch between optimized and unoptimized version anymore for testing. Script folder has now both the production ready JS files, as I just saying, and we can debug directly from the browser in any environment thanks to source maps configured in JS front end. Sources loaded to the client machine only when needed. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about here in this JasperReports Server 8 instance. So now, since we have only one script folder, we don't support opt false anymore. So here, if I'm going to go to dev tools, you're going to see that I do have going to the network. Let's refresh my JasperReports server. Do you see here I'm loading the chunk files, chunk JavaScript files? Those are the production ready files. So those are coming from the scripts folder, and they contains like really minimized JavaScript code, which is really help on the performance. It's also loaded by chunks here, as you see. But also, if you want to see the source, all you need to do is to go in source, in dev tools, and you're going to see this new project, JS UI Pro. And here, we're going to see all of our sources here for the CE and for the source. I'm going to walk you through that in a customization that we're going to do together. So you have the source at the same time with the actual production ready JavaScript files. You can debug, you can do anything here. And also, you keep in mind that the source file are not loaded, they're loaded only when needed. Okay, so if I didn't go to developers tools, the client won't call JasperReports Server to load those sources. It's only called when needed, which really help us in terms of performance. And this thanks to the source maps, as you see here in the JasperReports Server deployed version. Go to the scripts, and if you go to the GS files production ready, you're gonna have gs.map, and this is the files that actually translate the production ready JS files to the actual source files in the dev tools in the browser. Okay, so JavaScript files are now loaded as chunks for maximum performance, and we saw them. Okay, let's talk about customizing JavaScript. So first thing to do, you need to make sure that you have a Node 12 or 14 version and Yarn tool 1.22 tool. For Windows users, you need to install and set up Git Bash too. It's because we use npm scripts on behind the scenes, and we need to use some Linux proper commands, and we need the Linux emulator. So Git Bash, we recommend Git Bash. We're testing Git Bash, but you can use another Linux emulator tool. So the JavaScript changes should be made in Jasper UI project source files, as I've mentioned before. When you go into your Jasper source, Jasper UI, you have here the CE and the Pro version. So if you're coming from a community edition, you're only going to see CE. So you're going to work only here. If you're Pro edition, you're going to see both the CE and the Pro folder, and you're gonna have to work on both of those folders to produce your JavaScript changes. Okay, so let's see, we're gonna go through those commands together. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna walk you through a simple customization that I'm going to put in place here with you guys. So I have my editor here, Visual Studio. I'm opening the Jasper Server UI. So you see I have CA Pro. So let's say I want to, my customization will be, I want to go to this report. I'm going to go to public samples report. So this customer detail report. Okay, give it some time to load. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I have those filters here. So I want to, once I click on another value for this input control list, I want to show the initial value that I had when I started my report. Okay. So I'm gonna go, I know after our investigations, I knew what I should make the changes. So I'm just gonna go directly there. So it's controls here in my UI project, controls report.js. And I'm gonna go, so I'm gonna go here to, so in this file, so I'm gonna go here, and what I'm gonna do is after Jaspersoft custom, I'm gonna make an alert here, simple customization. I'm just gonna say initial value of the input control is, was, because this is going to be changed before. So I know that is the controls dot initial selection dot customer ID customer ID 0. This is what's holding the value. Now this is I'm going to use just to show this value in my alert. Okay, so let's say I've done my changes. Okay, so this is my customization. Now, first of all, so my changes that I've done in Jasper UI, I need to install the UI project. Doing so, if I am in a professional edition, I'm gonna need to do it, install the CE and the Pro too. If I'm only coming from a community edition, I'm not gonna be seeing Pro anyway, so I'm just need to run here and install in CE. Okay, so I'm just gonna come here again in Jasper Server UI. So as you see in the CE, and I need to go to C. Here we go, and I'm gonna run install. Here, no, this is gonna yarn install. And here you go. This will gonna take a little bit of time. So it is installing all the packages needed and everything, making the project ready. This is a one-time thing. Okay, so we are gonna do just one to set up our environment, and then after that we're just gonna keep building our changes. So we have now the install for the JSUI C project. And the install is success, as you see here. Everything looks fine. So I'm just gonna go and do this exact same command in the Pro project. Again, guys, this is for professional edition users and customers. For the community edition, you just need to do it in the CU because you're not gonna have the Pro anymore. So just gonna go here and execute the yarn install again. And again, this is a one-time process. You do the install one time, and then we're just gonna build out changes. Okay, so it's doing the same thing now for the Pro project. Okay, so we have this, we have now the install has been done in both Pro and CE. Okay, as you see here. So this yarn install command takes a lot of time, but it's only one-time thing. It's one-time run only, so you can prepare the Jasper Server UI project to set it up for development and building JavaScript. And after that, what you're gonna care about is the yarn one clean and yarn one build. So now we have our changes. So since if you're coming from GRS from a professional edition, so those yarn one clean and one build command, they should be done in the Pro project and CDGRS UI Pro. So here what we're gonna do, I'm using a professional edition, so I'm gonna build the Pro from here. If I am on a community edition, so I will need to go to CE, JSUI UI, CE here, and I'm gonna use the yarn one build from here. Okay. So let's go back to our Pro, JSUI UI Pro. So I did my changes. As you see here, I have my alert, I have my customization. So, and I have my server here, the Jasper server here, where I want to see the customization in place. So I'm just gonna do a yarn one clean, and then a yarn one build to build my JavaScript changes. Sorry. Here you go, and now yarn one build. Okay, so now it's building a production environment, JavaScript files for my Jasper Server 8. You need to use JavaScript files. That I'm going to be having this customizations that I have. Okay, so process is building right now. It's also going to take some time to build. And this is for if you already know your customization and you just want to build it. If you're not in the development process or testing process, if you're a front-end developer doing some tests, trying many things during your development process, during JavaScript development, there is another way to do a live reload that we're going to see later in this presentation. Okay, so we have our build now is done. As you see here, there's just some warnings, but nothing serious, no errors here. Everything looks fine. So one thing to check that our build is actually run successfully is we need to go to the source files of Jasper Server UI always in our project. I'm just gonna go from my editor here. And since I am on a professional edition, I'm just gonna go here in my JSUI Pro, and I'm gonna check if I have a build folder. So if I have a build folder, it's generated after the yarn run build command. So I'm just gonna go here and do, sorry, you just go to build, and you see I have overlay and I have the script folder. Okay. So this script folder is actually going to replace the script folder on my deployed Jasper server. So my generated scripts folder contains my customizations. So all I need to do now is just pick this script folder, copy it, and come here. Of course, always a good idea to have a backup, right? We can back up our scripts folder. And okay, let me see. I don't think he did a copy here. Okay, I'm just gonna go from the Explorer Pro, JS UI Pro, build, overlay, script folder. I'm gonna copy this. Just come here in my deployed JasperReports server and paste it as here. Well, it's gonna take a little bit of time. We do have, so this is what we've done, right? We did a yarn run clean and build. So we do have another command to do. It will copy this for you. It's called the yarn run deploy. We're gonna talk about it later when you can do also this without doing it manually. But I won't recommend using it because there is some issues while using it. You might get some file deleted. We are working on these issues. It's gonna be updated as very soon. So I would say for now, you can, if you have a simple customization, you already know what your customization is, and you can just like wanna update your script folder in Jasper server, you can do this yarn run build like this. Otherwise, you can use the live reload if you are on a development mode, so you can see your changes like at this in the same time you're developing. Okay, so this is what we've done. Okay, so after the build command, this new script folders got generated. So for professional edition, is going to be generated here, JS UI Pro. If we are on the community edition, we're going to be seeing the script folder, not in JS UI Pro, but always in CE because we are community edition, JS UI, we're going to see the build here. Okay, we don't have any build here because we didn't run any build command on the CE, as we have a professional edition. Okay, so all you need to know is to copy, replace the generated script folder into your Pro script folder, Jasper Server Pro. No need to restart the server, just need to clear the cache and test out changes. So I think the copy has been finished here. So I'm just gonna go and do my test here. Well, you know what? Let me actually use an incognito window, so I won't be bothered about all the caching issues. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to test my JasperReports Server 8 here. I'm going to go to my report, which was in public samples, reports, and customer details report. Here we go. I'm just going to go. So this is the 2724 is my initial value. I'm just going to change it here. I'm going to click apply, and here we go. You see the initial value of the input control was 2724, which is exactly what we've added here. If you go to div tools here, and if you're gonna go to the, yeah, I'll need to do like, need to refresh here up. If you go to div tools, you're gonna see, thanks to the source maps files, I have my source here in JS UI Pro. And I'm gonna go to CI. This is what I've done my customizations. Okay, keep in mind that the CE folder, because we are in Pro version, so you have two files. Okay, so you have the file, you have the features of the CE, and also plus you have the features of the professional edition. And our customization is actually can be used on both CE and Pro. This is why we have it in this file that belongs to CE. But even if your files belong to CE, since you're using Jasper Server Pro, all you need to do is work inside Jasper Server Pro in the source files. Okay, so controls, if I go to controls, report.js, I'm gonna look for Dr. Jaspersoft. As you see here, this is our customization that we've made. Okay, so here, so it is one unified process for customizing either GRS JavaScript files, as we've done right now, or also if you guys do some customization inside the Visualize.js library files. So this is the exact same process that you're going to go through to customize your changes in JasperReports Server 8. Yeah, sorry, JasperReports Server 8. Okay, so when it comes to upgrade, so this is, you can easily upgrade your JavaScript customization in 8. So if you're coming from pre-8 version and you have like some JavaScript features, your own features, or some update or some changes, you need to know that only the path has been changed. Okay, so JavaScript file names are still the same, meaning that when you go to your JS UI Pro here, we still have the exact same files, JavaScript files that you used to have in pre.8 version. They're still here with their packages and everything. The only thing is now they are in a different structure in this Jasper Server UI. Spread between CE and Pro, and all you need to do is the JavaScript changes that made in earlier version, they just needs to be added to your new Jasper UI project. So just pick your updates, look for the file here that you changed and updated inside the Jasper Server UI, and go through the same process that I've just described earlier. The same thing goes for Visualize.js as well, the same process. If you change some Visualize.js files in pre-version 8, you just need to go to Jasper UI and you just need to look for Visualize.js scripts, and again, put the changes here. Visualize, you can put the changes in your Visualize.js UI project and do the build again. Okay, so now we're going to be talking a little bit about how to do the auto deploy and live deploy. So I already talked about the auto deploy. So if you want, instead of doing the copy paste by manually, you can just run yarn run deploy. This will take care of changing the copying the script folder, the generated script folder to your Jasper Server UI folder. But I won't recommend this to do right now. You can just do it by copying. You can do. We are fixing it soon, and you can be. You'll then be able to use it. Please log the tickets if you run into any issues with those. Then yarn one deploy. That would be helpful too. And so what I want also to show you here and the JS UI Pro is if you go to .env. So again, the same thing goes for the community edition users. So the .env in the JS UI Pro, click here, and this has all the environment variables that are using by the script. So you can actually change this if you want to make more changes on the environment variables. We're going to look to some examples. What I mean by this is an important file that you might use. You might want to change for more advanced configurations. As you see here in our package.json, there is all the scripts that we use, and all scripts have some configuration file, some environment variables that calls configuration. Those are coming from our .env files, so you still can change those as you to fit your own requirements. So there is this JR instance, path. So this is just it needs to point to Jasper Server Pro. Okay, this you can change for more advanced features. You can change this on to whatever you want. I would also highly recommend you to go to the README files here in the CE. You go to CE, you go to JS UI, and you go to README. So this will walk you through all of the different commands that we want to, and how to do the builds, how to do the auto deploy as well. And README development contains all what's going on behind the scenes in the npm scripts, okay, and where it takes the scripts, what are the different phases of the scripts, where they take the environment variables. So you have full flexibility and full control on how you want Jasper Server to do the build. Okay, so in the yarn run deploy that we don't recommend for the moment, it actually takes JS instance path. It point to the Jasper root folder in the deploy in the application server. For example, for me it will be this one. So I need to put it here so I can allow the yarn run deploy command to take the generated script file and install it in the running script file, the running instance, running JS instance folder. Okay, so we're not going to do that now, but we're going to do something better, which is live reload. So in order to do the live reload, we're going to need to start the web app dev server. In order to do that, again, you can just go to the CE README here, and if you scroll down a little bit, you're going to see Webpack Dev Server, rapid development. Okay, so easy here. You just need to go and start the dev server. For that, you need to change two properties, which is the root path and the host. So the properties, as I said, they are on the .env file. So we're going to look for them in the .env file. Keep in mind here, be careful. You are in professional edition, you need to use the .env of the JS UI Pro. If you are on the CE, you need to change the .env in the CE folder. I'm just going to look for this one, root path. So my root path is not Jasper Server Pro, as you've seen here. My root path is actually Jasper Server Pro -8. I'm just going to replace this. And this is my local host too. So the host I'm using is localhost 8080. You can change this to your own local host if you're using a different port. And what's interesting again is you can actually point your web dev server to a remote instance of JasperReports Server. So let's say you don't have a Jasper server installed locally, you don't have anything to worry about. Just point out your remote running instance here, and web dev server, when you're going to run it, is going to point to your remote instance, and the changes you're going to make, they're going to be pulled from the remote instance in your own client machine. So you can do customizations in a remote JS instance, which is pretty cool. And this is the dev server report. So this is the Webpack dev server that's going to allow you to do the live reload and make your development process. If you have, it runs in 9000. By default, you can change that if you have this port already used by some other apps. Okay, so I'm just going to go here and change those I did. So all you need to do is yarn one start. Again, always in the JS UI Pro. Okay, so I have my localhost 80, everything looks fine. Just gonna go here and do a yarn one start. So it is starting right now. It's starting my Webpack dev server, which will allow me to make changes make live reload and make changes and see them at the same time. Okay, so we have our Webpack dev server started successfully, as you see here. So now all you need to do is to go hit this 9000 port. So I'm gonna do this here, localhost 19, and then I need to give it the context path of my Jasper Server Pro. And in the same time, I'm going to show you here, you're going to see some stuff going on here in the my editor or Webpack Dev Server. As you see here, is actually requesting now from the actual JasperReports Server, requesting the UI, as you see here. Okay, I have my login page of Jasper Server inside my Webpack Dev Server, as you see here. So I'm just going to connect. Here we go. I'm going to go to my reports, my famous report here, samples, customer detail report. As you see here, I have all this. The Webpack Dev Server is logging the transactions going to the server. Okay, so let's say I'm like developing the UI of JasperReports Server, doing some changes. So I'm going now to make new changes here. I'm going to say in my previous customization, I'm going to say Webpack Dev Server initial value of IC was. So you see, once I finish, there is some building going on here, as you see, and it's going to make up production ready files now for my Jasper Server, and automatically reload the page, as you see here. And now I should have my new changes in my localhost 8080 Jasper Server instance, as you see here. So I'm going to just try that now. I'm going to change just something and apply. As you see here, Webpack Dev Server initial value of the IC was. So here we go. This is for the development process. Again, you can take just the build, the build file, generated build file, and copy paste it directly to your production environment. Once you're satisfied with your JavaScript development. Okay, so we're gonna go back to this. So we walked through this all together, and this is just a troubleshooting some known issues. Please, you can read them. Just some mismatch between the documentation and the actual scripts, especially for Windows. But we covered this up in this session. So documentation will be updated soon. The yarn one deploy. It's also some insight if you run into issues doing yarn install, you can use run install -f, and also how to make sure that you on Windows you are using git bash or another emulator script instead of the Windows own command prompt script. Okay, so in the resources, please see here the Jasper Server UI source file, CE README file. It contains step-by-step documentations as well. README development for complete steps and configuration if you want to go more advanced and change how the Jasper Server build script is actually working and producing the script file. The official documentation to customize JavaScript file is in the Ultimate Guide in this link. And again, what you're familiar with anything about customer success orientation and our Dr. Jaspersoft community and Jaspersoft community website. Okay, thank you, Kamal. That would be all for our new Webpack Dev Server. Thank you for hosting.
Thanks very much, Badr. Great presentation. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.